Of all the high achievers and business leaders I've worked with and observed, I've noticed not only do they have good habits, but each has developed consistent routines for carrying out their daily disciplines. It's the only way any of us can predictably regulate our behavior. There simply isn't any way around it. A daily routine built on good habits and disciplines separates the most successful among us from everyone else. A routine is exceptionally powerful. To create profitable and effective routines, you must first decide what behaviors and habits you want to implement. Take a moment to review your goals from Chapter 3, as well as the behaviors you want to add and subtract. Now, it's your turn to be Jack Nicholas and figure out your best pre-shot routine. Be intentional about what components belong. Once you establish, say, a morning routine, I want you to consider it cast in concrete until further notice. You get up, you do it, no argument. If someone or something interrupts you, start back at the beginning to anchor your foundation for the performance that follows. Bookend your days. The key to becoming world class in your endeavors is to build your performance around world class routines. It can be difficult, even futile, to predict or control what will show up in the middle of your workday, but you can almost always control how your day starts and ends. I have routines for both. I'll share aspects of each here to give you some ideas and to help you better understand the power and importance of building your new behaviors into disciplined routines, starting with my goals in mind. I designed my behaviors and routines accordingly. Perhaps as I share some of what works for me, you'll identify strategies you'd like to try. Rise and shine. My morning routine is my Jack Nicholas pre-shot preparation. It sets me up for the entire day because it happens every morning. It's locked in and I don't have to think about it. My iPhone alarm goes off at 5 a.m. Confession sometimes, minutes during those 8 minutes, I do 3 things. First, I think about everything I'm grateful for. I know I need to attune my mind to abundance. The world looks, acts, and responds to you very differently. When you start your day with a feeling and orientation of gratitude for that which you already have. Second, I do something that sounds a bit odd, but I send love to someone. The way to get love is to give it. And one thing I want more of is love. I give love by thinking of one person, anyone. It could be a friend, relative, co-worker, or someone I just met in the supermarket. It doesn't matter. And then I send them love by imagining all that I wish and hope for them. Some would call this a blessing or a prayer. I call it a mental love letter. Third, I think about my number 1 goal and decide what 3 things I'm going to do on this day to move closer toward reaching it. For example, at the time of this writing, my number 1 goal is to deepen the love and intimacy in my marriage. Each morning I plan 3 things I can do to make sure that my wife feels loved, respected, and beautiful. When I get up, I put on a pot of coffee, and while it's brewing, I do a series of stretches for about 10 minutes, something I picked up from Dr. Oz. If you've lifted weights your whole life, as I have, you get stiff. I realized the only way I was going to incorporate more stretching into my life was to make it a routine. I had to figure out where in my schedule I could stick, or it could stick in. And while the coffee is brewing, is good at a time as any. Once I've stretched and poured my cup, I sit in my favorite chair and watch Darren Daily. Yes, I watch my own Darren Daily. Then I set my iPhone for 30 minutes. No more, no less. No more, no less. And read something positive and instructional. When the alarm sounds, I take my most important project and work on it for 90 minutes of completely focused and undistracted effort. Notice I haven't opened email yet. Then every morning at 7 a.m. I have what I call my calibration appointment, a recurring appointment set in my calendar where I take 15 minutes to celebrate my day. This is where I brush over my top 3 1-year and 5-year goals, my key quarterly objectives, and my top goal for the week and month. Then for the most important part of the calibration appointment, I review or set my top 3 MVPs, most valuable priorities, for that day, asking myself if I only did 3 things today, what are the actions that will produce the greatest results in improving me closer to my big goals. Then, and only then, do I open email and send out a flurry of tasks and delegations to get the rest of my team started on their day. I then quickly close down my email and go to work on my MVPs. The rest of the day can take a million different shapes, but as long as I go through my morning routine, a majority of the key disciplines I need to be practicing are taken care of, and I'm properly grounded and prepared to perform at a much higher level than if I started each day erratically, or worse, with a set of bad habits.